And we're rolling.
Alright, 3, 2. Alright.
We're already rolling.
I know. I'm talking about for your editing.
I'm gonna keep that in probably. It's most likely I'm keeping that in.
Why?
It's gonna be a book.
I like cold opens.
There you go.
Cold opens. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us on T&Mai's channel. I'm May.
I'm T.
And joining us today is our special friend, Sierra, host of her own podcast, coming soon. Sierra is visiting us, and she has joined the conversation with us for Couples Conversation, where she's going to ask us some questions as a couple. And we don't know what the questions are going to be, so...
This is not pre-rehearsed, nor pre-recorded.
Right, exactly.
We all live over here.
Right. So
you're not going to be live, but we're live.
And in living color.
Right?
And in living color, right. So I don't know, Sierra, if you want to introduce yourself or say anything.
Sierra Narita. I do have a podcast currently called Cake&Conversation. However, it's being rebranded. That's why I was just like, don't say a name. But I'm figuring that out with the rename. But if you look up Cake&Conversations on any of your platforms, you'll be able to find it.
Sweet.
Well, with the ampersand, not the word and.
And ampersand.
That's the and sign for those that don't know.
Oh, wow.
Some people don't know.
So, I mean, that's good.
That's just like the word.
So let's get started. Sierra, thank you for joining us. What questions do you have for T and I? And
First
we need a cheers. So, cheers.
Cheers to this weekend.
To this weekend and friends.
Yay!
Yeah. All right.
All right.
What you got for us?
So, as y'all know, they're married. I'm not. So I just wanted to kind of sit down with them to figure out, like, what are some questions, or to ask some questions that I feel like single people would want to know from a certain demographic of married people. And they kind of fit that mold.
I mean, you know, whoever.
So the first thing I want to know, and I don't know if you all have ever told the story on your YouTube channel, but like, what's your proposal story?
Proposal story? Have we told that?
I don't think we have.
No.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah.
You
tell it.
I guess I'll tell it. We went to Malta for our birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was gonna do it when we took this trip, so we took this trip for our birthdays just to go there and see what it was like. And
it was my dream place.
Yeah, she
my
always
dream
wanted to
destination.
go. So I was like, all right, let's go. And how long were we together?
I'm gonna say 3 years.
So we were together already 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, 3 years. She not nobody to play around with. You know what I mean? And it's like, if it's going good, it was going good. She was just everything I was looking for in a wife. So I was like, all right, I'm not playing around. I called her mom, her grandma, and I told them, I was thinking about proposing when we took this trip, and they were like, gave me their blessings. So I was like, all right. And then we took some trip to, not trip, but one where I was looking for jewelry. We went to this jewelry store to not look.
And also before y'all went?
No, before we went.
Okay.
Before we went, yeah.
Saw this ring she liked. I was like, all right. So, I just
I
started.
2 different ones, remember?
Yeah, she liked 2 different ones. I liked one that was admittedly a little cheaper.
Like, you sure you don't like
but
this?
I liked it, but she liked the one that she got. So, that's the one I got for her. And
I'm cooking. Why do you look at me like that?
I'm saying you ain't got it on. I can't. Where you at?
I know.
Anyway, she usually has it on.
I'm gonna attest to that. She has had it all the whole time.
Right, I'm cooking.
So you know, I figured I wanted to get the ring, so like we're going on this trip. We had just bought a house and everything was kind of like going crazy. So I was like, man, when we were going on this trip, it was like a lot of highs that we were on, and now I was like, I'm gonna kill her with this one.
Yeah.
So, you know, we went. My birthday's on the 4th, hers is on the 5th. So, you know, we were just hanging out, just doing our thing out there, exploring. On my birthday, we went on like an excursion, took ferries to this island and stuff. It was dope. And on her birthday was the night before we left. So
I thought you were going to say what we did on my birthday. We went to an archaeological site.
Well, see, this was in my head.
God,
like,
in
my head.
This so fits the personality.
Right, so on her birthday, she didn't know I had like a little thing planned, but we went to a archaeological site, like you said. We learned about all the places in Malta that, you know, used to tell time through little holes that it was some crazy stuff that they was teaching us. But, you know, we were riding around and we had a driver all day.
Yeah.
You know, we were just taking us around. We ate. It was just a dope day. And then that night, when we had our dinner, I had talked to this guy, set it up in a well for us. So this restaurant we were in was a well. It was a, you know, reconstructed well, reimagined, whatever. You know, it was down there. So I proposed her in a well. And you know, we had dinner. They brought out the wine. I can't even remember. How did the wine have it on it?
Yeah, in the cork.
Yeah.
He had stuck the wine.
The ring was in the cork of the wine.
Yeah.
So.
And I didn't see it because I had been drinking.
Yeah.
I had been drinking wine and drinking on my birthday all day, and I had such a great day. So by the time we were eating, it was just like a great dinner. Yeah. And I kept saying, like, I was like, oh, this day couldn't get any better. Like, I had the best birthday ever. Like, and the cork is sitting there, like, on my wine, and I'm not.
Oh yeah, that's what happened. They stuck it on the glass.
Yeah.
So like they like carved that little thing out.
Oh, that's cool.
Stuck it on the glass, and she was just sipping.
Really?
And then, you know, I was looking at her like, I recognize the ring. And she was like.
Yeah, remember you turned it. You were like,
right.
Ma'am?
And that's after she done drank out of the glass like 3 times. But
just like some decorations on the wall. Not seeing it, just tasting the wine.
It was added to the whole thing.
Awesome.
And then, you know, I took it off and got on the knee. And you know, popped the question.
Did the restaurant like?
Yeah, it was a couple of people in there, and they clapped.
Yeah, it was a very small couple.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they were looking around, and the people at the restaurant were amazing. Dennis and his team, and they
shout out to Dennis. He just got married.
Yay! The guy who helped him do the proposal.
Oh, that's cool.
Dennis Jin. And so they came by. They had cameras, and they were like taping it. And I was like, what's going on? And they were like, oh, it's just for reviews for the restaurant. And so
they were
because I saw someone like taping it.
Because I went to him and I was like, yeah, we're getting married. This is when we like first got there, and that's the first place we went.
Yeah, it was
that was the first restaurant we went to. So and he was just cool, showing us places that we could go.
Dope.
So when she went to the bathroom, I was like, man, I'm trying. I don't know what to do. I don't know what. And we're out here. I was like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, what do it here? And I was like,
because you were gonna do it. We had planned this dinner in the sky.
Oh yeah.
Where you go up on that.
See, she helped me remember everything. I was like,
you go up on this like crane or something.
Like
I don't know.
You had a
dinner.
Table.
Oh, wow.
They hoisted it up.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do.
But it was too windy, so they canceled it.
Yeah, I would die even without the wind.
And then I was so glad because I was like, I would be all excited, but then like
that was like more like it would just been a dope, like we're in the sky. Yeah. But then it's like when it happened afterwards, I would have been like,
how would you have gotten?
Yeah, I would have got on my knee. I couldn't,
logistically.
It would have just been reaching across the table like, Will you marry me?
Don't move too much.
With my harness on.
Swinging and shit. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. But, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So so much happened in that, and then I have so many questions. So you said that y'all were together for like 3 years before the proposal. Did you feel like any pressure from family to be like, okay, when y'all gonna get married? Because y'all, so kind of go back, y'all were not like in your 20s.
No.
When this was happening.
No.
Like y'all were like mid-30s
Yeah.
at this time. So did you have any pressure from family like, okay, like clock is ticking? Because that's like a thing.
A little bit. Because they, you know.
You did?
No, I mean, you didn't. But the thing was, we had known each other growing up. And so people knew that we knew each other. So once we got together and our relationship
people that knew all the whole time, they know who they is.
And then, so we were just like, we want to get to know each other as adults.
Yeah.
And that was key to us, which is why we dated for as long as we dated. Because I knew him. I knew he was a good person. But we had to see, you know, as adults, how we meshed, and then especially going from being good friends to now dating. Like, we had to navigate that transition.
And we thought it was like, oh, yeah. Like, it was like,
how was that transition?
Awkward.
Yeah, it was very awkward. Yes.
Like, now I get to kiss my friend?
I mean, it's like...
He's like, I can't believe I'm kissing Marianne. And I'm like, it's me.
It was weird because I spent a lot of my life just thinking of her like as...
That's the homie.
Yeah, you know. But I'm not gonna lie though, like I always told you, like, she was always kind of in the back of my head, but I didn't put her there. So it was like, you know.
Yeah.
So tell me about that transition from friend to relation. Like, how did that happen? It was like
very sudden. It was like one day we weren't, and then the next day I think it was like I just saw him different.
Really?
And I just was like, he's fine.
Like,
what have you never, like, you know? And then, you know, seeing that and then being like, oh my God, he's such a good, like, person, such a great guy, and like us being reconnected. Us being reconnected, like, and getting to know each other as adults. I was like, he is just such a dope person. And then I was like, and he's so handsome. Like, what have I been thinking? So it was just like we were hanging out one day, and it just
you moved up.
Yeah, it just kind of happened where we kissed. Did you leave? You left the apartment and came back.
Yeah.
And so I think we were both feeling like it's not the same as all the other times we've hung out. We've hung out so many times. Yeah. And to the annoyance of our friends who knew before we did, like, we just saw each other like just the homie, and like we would hang out and do all this stuff. And so then that one time though, we're hanging out and we were like, it just felt a little different. Like something's changed, something's different. And then he started acting weird, and then he was like, all right, I gotta go. And then he left the apartment, and I was like, well, maybe what I was feeling or thinking was just me. Like, it wasn't, you know. And then all of a sudden, knock back on the door, like, knock, knock, knock. And I was like, okay, maybe you forgot something. Open the door, and he was like, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. And
well, she opened the door, and I literally rushed and kissed her.
It's like something out of a rom-com.
Yeah, it was very. And then, of course, me, who, like, single until I'm 35, I'm like, does this shit really happen? Like, what is this? But yeah. Yep.
That is funny. It's so cool and cute. So the friends, I'm sure they were like, finally.
Yes.
Like, bro, we've been waiting on y'all.
Finally.
So are there any steps that y'all took to like prepare for marriage while you were still single? Or did it just kind of like, it all kind of like happened during the dating phase? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about?
I mean, for me personally, before I was in my dark phases, my dark days,
dark days.
Dark days.
I had to, I found myself having to abstain from being with women and sexually, And that taught me a lot about myself, about these women out here in these streets. And, you know, that I feel like that really helped me get prepared for marriage. Mostly because I learned a lot about myself and what I wanted, you know, and what I wasn't willing to put up with. You know what I mean? And, you know, I feel like it's a looked over subject. A lot of guys, they, you know, the more women you get, but at the same time, you're giving of yourself just the same. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, we always talk about women giving of themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we talk a lot about, I don't know that we talk about men who are giving of themselves.
Yeah. I mean, however you look at it,
that,
when you're not focused on yourself, you're not going to find like real like peace inside. Like, that was my thing. Like, focus on me, like focus on myself. And women were distracting that.
Okay.
Just, you know,
that's very rare to hear a guy make a statement like that. Like, but it's true. It's true for both women and men. But I think that a lot more women tend to be more cognizant of that fact. Where it's like, okay, I need to take a break from dating, take a break from men, and just kind of like be me.
Because dudes be staying with some toxic women, and it's just because like, oh, they're sexy, they bad, this, that, third, but they end up having some crazy stuff done to them, you know, and it's like, yeah, she was bad though.
Like, I mean, yeah, she set my car on fire.
Right.
Yeah,
she blew my house up.
I knew she really cared because she was crazy.
Right. What about you, man?
To your point, I mean, that was something for me. It wasn't that I was taking a break from dating. I think I had gotten to a place where I was like, I really thought I would never get married. And I thought, like, I have to be okay with whatever happens. I have to be okay with that.
Okay.
Because then I have to be okay with myself. But what I also didn't want were situationships, which had littered my 20s. And so, you know, it was, what is happening?
Right.
I need your pillow back.
So it was about me kind of, especially when I moved up here, I think I really kind of thought differently about, okay, what do I want? You know? And it was a transition time for me professionally. And I was like, I have focused so much on trying to get this love, find this person, find the one. Who are you? Are you him? Are you him? Are you him? Like, and there were some things professionally that I needed to focus on. Because I was like, I need to be able to take care of myself and to feel fine within myself. And I was, you know, self-sufficient, but I changed my focus to, like T said, to myself and what makes me happy and what makes me comfortable with myself. So if I'm going to a restaurant by myself, if I'm going to the movies, like I was telling the other day, got season tickets to, you know, go to basketball games. And I was fine doing that because every time I would do other things like that, it would always be like, oh, I wish someone was here with me. Oh, I wish I had, you know, and I was just like, I was missing the moment. I was missing the time that I could be enjoying it with my friends. Or like I'd go to a restaurant with my friends and be like, oh, this would be a great place to come with a guy. And like, you know, miss that moment. And so I was like, I need to refocus on this. So cut a lot of ties with a lot of strings and just we're like, you know, it's been fun. We're not going, you know, best wishes on that. And then I found myself like really, really like in a space of just me. And that's why I didn't even see him coming. Yeah. But I'm not going to be the person who says, oh, when you stop thinking about it, that's when it's going to... I don't think that. I think it's about what is your priority and your focus and being comfortable with yourself. Because I do think that a lot of the way that I was before was projecting something out to people. It was projecting... Did it
feel like you were being needy?
It was projecting a neediness. It was projecting a desperation.
And guys
it was projecting
smell that all the time.
I felt like it was projecting oh my God, I'm getting older and I'm like... So once I stopped projecting that and I think I just got fine with me, fine with like who I am and what I, all that stuff. I don't know. I can't really say exactly what it was, but that was what was different for me when I got here. And I knew that the situations I had before or situationships, things would continue to end the same way if I continued to behave the same way. So I had to examine and start to examine and am examining to this day what my behavior is like and how I'm engaging in situations with people, reacting to situations with people. Because if I wanted something to end differently, like end in marriage, I needed to approach it the same way. So I needed to, every time I felt myself comfortably reacting while we were dating in a way that just was how I normally do it, I would mentally challenge myself. Like, is this how you should really be approaching this situation? Right. And if it was, then I'd be like, okay, proceed. and if I could think of a different way, if I could pause and listen, if I could, have more patience, if I could communicate differently, like those kinds of things I would try to do. And it's a process. It's a learning process.
So how was the transition from friends that we grew up together, we were in elementary and the middle, and like we really literally grew up together, to like, okay, now this is like my boyfriend, this is my man, this is my woman, to okay, now we are married. So what do you all feel like that those transitions were extremely difficult? Or do you feel like because y'all had that foundation as friends that it kind of like helped things once you got over the hump of like, now I'm kissing my friend? Like, once you got over that hump, do you feel like the rest of it was like, oh, okay, well, we're kind of like falling into a groove?
Yeah, I feel like that because I feel like it's both. Because a big thing for me was the fact that we did have that friendship, and it was kind of like we had that foundation that, no matter how long we know each other, but we know each other for years, but it's like we were solid in the fact that we trust each other with our friendship, and those feelings. Because, you have feelings for your friends. You care for people.
Right.
And we always shown that closeness that we had. We were tight, like we said, we never really talked every day, but when we talk for hours.
Yeah.
We let each other live. And then, so like that being a foundation, like I knew that we just had to learn how to build on it.
Yeah.
And, to be like, all right, we have this friendship. Now let's, add, romance on there. You know what I mean? And it's still a work in progress. You know what I mean? But when you can build on a solid foundation, which is the friendship, communication, the trust, you know what I'm saying? When that is solid, anything you put on there is going to be able to stand up. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's both. Like whenever we reach a certain level, we're like, all right. Like we let it be awkward. It was awkward. It was weird. You know what I'm saying?
So
but
you gotta embrace that.
Yeah, you have to embrace it because it was like, all right, we tried to fight it, but then it just, it was like we're going against ourselves. It's just like, all right, we've known each other for like, this is happening. Yeah. This is what we want. So let's figure out how to, make each other like see different, or, like see each other in a new light.
Yeah.
And not the same old, because we're not the same people from high school. We're not the same people from our 20s, you know? So we had to learn how to see each other in each light that we approached.
So you mentioned communication. Were there any subjects that were difficult to discuss once y'all crossed over into relationship from friendship? Like, or did you all just always have like the very most open conversation?
Like the benefit of our friendship is that like we already kind of knew a lot about each other. So it was like
knew each other's dirt. I knew about his dark days.
You know, like if we started lying, we could be like, know we didn't talk all the time. I remember you saying something. But, that kind of made it easy for me.
I think some of the and we just had, a video around things that you have to talk about and communicate with your partners. I think for us, it was the honest feelings.
First video's already up.
I think it was the honest feelings because this is your friend. You don't want to hurt your friend's feelings because you guys are now in this relationship where you express your needs and you want this person to meet your needs.
Yeah.
But in your friendship, they never had to really do much to meet those needs. But now there's a lot of intention behind it because of the different parts of your relationship. So I think at first it was kind of like, I need to...
all on my own. Plus,
Okay.
I never have to share dessert.
I don't know what we talking about.
Okay. Because,
what? I'm happy to share dessert.
Yeah.
What?
But I think that's what it was. It was being able to share that. Because, for example, and I know that as far as us being exclusive, this is back when we were dating, I hadn't really said anything. Like, we were dating and all this stuff. I hadn't really said anything, and I kind of just assumed, like, oh, I'm sure, it's me. So...
You hadn't said anything.
I hadn't said anything. And so I was on a work trip, like, in Scranton. And I'm in the hotel, and I'm thinking, we talk a little bit, we chatted a little bit, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I don't know, I haven't said anything about this. No, it was before. Yeah. So then
I'm saying before that, we even had that conversation when I told you that I was messing with like 3 people.
Earlier on, because you said you had cut things off.
Yeah. So you
decide. I'm talking about when we became exclusive. So I asked him. I called him back and I asked him, and I was like, "Wait, you're not dating other people while we're dating, right?" Because that one time you had said that you had cut, And he was like, I went on a little like dinner thing like with somebody the other day, and I was like, what? But then I realized, I was like, okay, chick, like y'all never said you were exclusive. You never communicated that. And I realized I was like relying on like, he should just know. And it's like, okay, he's not going to read your mind. So the next day I called him and I was like, we need to talk. And I was like, can you meet me in like a park or something? And I drove straight down for my business trip to where he was. And I think he was nervous because he thought I was about to break up with him because he told me what he told me last night. And I was just like, okay, I have never said I would like to be exclusive, right, but I would like to be exclusive. And I realized that I need to say that. I don't know where you are. So that was one of like we talked a lot and got to know a lot about each other with the toothpick right now. Okay. So like we had talked a lot of about a lot of stuff, but when it came to like our relationship and honest feelings about our relationship, that was a growing part of it. And so once we had that conversation, then he was like, whew, I thought you was about to break up with me, but he was like, you asked me and then I told you because I'm not gonna lie to you. But then I was like, shit. Like, but that was kind of the opening to it. So really, you don't want to hurt your friend's feelings, but you got to tell them what you need from a partner that you're with, and then you guys have to figure it out together. So that was probably the most difficult, I think.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of my, like, why do people do that, is when people just automatically assume, like, oh, we are exclusively together without having a conversation. Yeah. And then you have all these disappointments that are based off unmet expectations, but they're unmet because you never communicated them.
Exactly.
What your expectations are.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because...
And then maybe, I don't, like, for me as a woman, I was like, expecting him to be the one to come to me and say that. And I think a lot of women do. But then, again, like I said, I checked myself on the things I assumed and the ways that I behaved that I would have behaved normally. Because normally,
just would have rolled
I would have just, and I would have waited for him to say something. Yeah. And then I'm like, but the thing is, I didn't realize was that he didn't know if I wanted to be exclusive. Because I'm on my boss chick, like, you know,
Yeah,
so.
she came down in the business power suit.
She's about to have a business.
I came down like it was too. I come straight
from work.
We need to talk.
So, you know, I realized I was like, yeah, it's not his responsibility to know kind of what my feelings are on the subject. All I can do is share them. Because if he says, I'm not ready to be exclusive, then okay, then we know where we are.
Yeah.
But how's he supposed to know that I'm ready to be? So I was like, I need to say something.
And it was refreshing. I was like, all right. Let a nigga know.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's so funny to me. But it is interesting though, because so many women do wait. Like they wait for the guy to like, okay, I want you to make the first move. I want you to do these things. Mm-hmm. And
or they assume that they are exclusive.
Yeah, and then you be out here getting played because they be like, oh, I never told you that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important that
the time we spend together.
Right. That's us. But the time we ain't together, that's me. I do what I want.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you can't assume anything.
Yeah.
When do you assume?
Exactly.
So what would y'all say is like y'all most consistent argument? Like I've always heard that married couples, especially when they're like truly like their communication is really good, they have like crazy and petty arguments. So what are your most consistent arguments?
What would you say? Is it me getting over myself?
I can't. Like, I'm probably seeing it different because I don't really believe in consistent arguments.
Yeah.
Like, if we're arguing about something that's a byproduct of something else.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? Like, we gotta get to the root of whatever is causing this issue.
Yeah.
Because like when we argued about when I put the mail in there. You know what I mean? It was like it was something else deeper than just like you putting the mail out there and you calling me passive aggressive.
Yeah.
It's just mail.
You know what I'm saying? So like we argued from surface level, but then it's like what's beneath that, and it ended up being I forget exactly what it was, but just how we handle things pretty much. It's like how we handle stuff. Like I didn't like the mail everywhere. I wanted the mail off of public area. You know what I mean? Just things like that.
Wasn't it about there were certain things that I'm not good at, and there are things that you're cool to handle. And
I wouldn't say I'm not good at it. It's just like you're not like a mail.
Yeah, I hate mail.
Yeah,
I don't like the
too.
postal.
But the way I handle my hatred for mail is I get rid of it.
Right. I just ignore it and leave it alone, and then it piles up.
Yeah. Right. So now it's a conflict.
Yeah. So this was like this is you, and not me.
Yeah.
But I kept being like, I'm gonna get to it. And
so I was waiting for her to get to it.
And she
never got to it. So I bundled it up, put it in the room. And when I did that, it was like, I was annoyed at the fact that there was a lot of mail out there. But it was all your mail, all the mail.
Put it by my bedside.
And
I didn't say anything
for you to get it. So
didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything, but I was not
Heavy Prince over here.
First of all,
you gonna get to the mail? It's by your bedside.
Like she came in and she was all fast. She was like, "Oh, you did the mail," and she was like zooming around. She was like, "Oh, you did the mail," and then she started talking, and I was like, "I'm slow." So by the time she's like telling me thank you for the mail.
Because I noticed it wasn't everywhere.
I'm like, everywhere. I need to tell her it's in the room. By this time, she said that ran in the bathroom and was talking, and I was like, by the time I was saying the mail's in your room, she came in the room and was like, this petty ass nigga. as I was saying this. So it was like she was moving fast. Now it's not like she was just sitting there having a conversation. So I didn't have time to utter.
And so that misunderstanding got sussed out. But to what he was saying, and it's something that we've practiced, and we've talked about this in other videos when we have disagreements, we get to that root, make sure the other person feels heard or understood. And once we confirm that there are actions or talking about what are we going to do differently so that this doesn't happen again, but also giving grace for the fact that it will take time for someone to, if it's a behavior they have to change, if it's a consideration they have to remember, if it's something they have to do, like they're not going to be perfect just because we had this argument. He feels hurt, I feel hurt, and now I'm expecting him to be perfect in how he executes it every time moving forward. There's going to be some times where he misses it, but we've confirmed, and I know that he knows it, and I know that I'm going to see changes or action towards that thing. And so if we have an argument, like that's why there's not like a repeating one to say, just because we've had this argument and we both have committed to the things that we're going to do differently, and then we have to give space to people to get to that point. So that means, and that's one of the things of confirmation, is that we don't bring up old shit and toss it in and be like, cause the other, like we'd already talked about it. You already confirmed. You already said you were heard and understood. So if you were heard and understood, you don't need to tell me over and over and over again and bring it up into new shit when that was old shit. Because if it's a situation of something related to your growth from that argument, then I know that and I'm going to give you that grace. And that's just what it is. But if you really like just don't care and you just continue to do the same, you know what I mean? Then that's a new argument of the fact that why is this not something that you know what I mean?
Why is this not a priority for you?
Right. So, and that's a new conversation. So I don't know. That has worked for us because I hate when people bring old shit up and toss it back in.
And I hate having the same arguments. Like for me, that's like, I guess I never thought I had a deal breaker, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like if we can't get to what's the root of what's causing this same argument, or for us to argue the same way, something wrong. And if we can't fix it, we can't be together. You know what I mean? Because because we're not about to just keep arguing around and around in circles
about the same thing over and over.
Do y'all feel like y'all would have had a different relationship or marriage had you gotten married, let's say 10 years earlier?
Oh yeah, I don't know if
we'd be together.
Well, we agree on that. Because I was a different person and he was a different person, and we were at a different stage in our maturity and growth.
And by the time we got together, really respected our friendship.
Right.
Like we didn't want to like mess that up. Like we didn't really like.
Yeah, and it's not that we disrespected.
Well, no. I'm just saying, like.
But you were more mature in understanding like the differences.
Right. Like if we would have gotten together earlier, it would have probably like ruined our friendship.
That's what I'm saying.
It would have been a
messy,
messy situation, and then I would have probably not talked to him.
Or you probably would have just been like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's and we were in different headspaces. He was at that point, like, and that's the thing. Hindsight, when you think about it, you're like, why isn't this happening now? Why isn't this happening now? But it's like, are you ready? And you might think you're ready, but then there's certain things that are still marinating. Maybe he's still marinating. Yeah. Maybe I'm still marinating. I don't know, because at that point, he was out the military. He was, trying to figure out what he wanted to do and all this stuff. When I met him, he knew what he wanted to do. He was in school. He was pursuing that goal. Now, if I would have met him while he was still trying to figure out what he wanted to do, I don't know if I would have had the patience at that point to be like, let's wait till you like, what is he doing? I like, you know what I mean? And so, and then for me, I used to think that, I was perfect and like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean? And I definitely wasn't. And so by the time he met me, I was examining myself in the sense of like, what can you do to be better?
By the time it came to that point.
Yeah, by the time that's
one of the first thing I told her was like, get rid of the fairy tale. Toss that up. The fairy tale, La La Land, love.
So even though the kiss started with the rom-com,
right?
You were like,
and then
now be like, after this, I need you to get it. This ain't how it's gonna be.
After this ain't what happens. That was a one-off. This ain't Love Jones,
right?
Not to come back and kiss and then forget about it. Yeah, right.
Is there anything y'all would change about your story?
No. Mm-mm. Yeah, I love it just the way it is.
And the thing is, just watching y'all interact and just communicate and just have fun with each other, support each other, and all of the things that you all do is really awesome to see, especially from a single person's point of view, to be able to see like, okay, finding love, even if it's someone you know, if it's someone you don't know, as long as you have that firm foundation of just truly wanting to get to know each other in a naked way and just being authentically who you are, and having that and starting that foundation, it is very possible to do those things after your 20s, into your into your 30s, even when you feel like you've got to the point where it probably won't happen for you and you've settled in the fact that it's not going to happen and you start thinking about other things. It's still very possible.
It's still very possible. And I'm it was probably premature of me to think that I would never get married, but it's the way society.
That too, you know what I'm saying? Like I was ready to just be like, all right, well,
you were about to go back to the streets.
For the streets. Zombie for the streets.
How you had the dark days, had the enlightenment of celibacy, and then want to go back to the streets.
Because at that point, I was like, all right, I'm ready for it. Like I was contenting myself, so I was like. I was out of my celibacy. Like at that point, I was like, if I'm gonna meet my wife, I was pretty much waiting for that, or not waiting, but I was, I was single. I was still single, and I was like, all right, I'm done being celibate because I've learned about me what I can tell you. We're not having sex. Like I'll tell you that. You think you're withholding the vagina.
Yeah, you got some.
I didn't want it right now
anyway. Some self-control during that.
That's an eye opener to me. Like it's an eye opener because
And I was at a point where I was like, my next relationship, not situationship, which I didn't want any more of those. So if I saw things were just some, you know what I mean? Yeah. My next relationship, I want that to be with my husband.
Yeah.
And so
that's also something I said.
It took a lot.
Well, not husband. I said
figured.
I said wife.
In case y'all didn't do
it took a lot for me to like really discern the people that I was engaging with, the situations I was in, because I'm like, if I'm gonna give of myself, not just physically but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, like I wanted to be with that next person who's going to be my husband. Yeah. But at the same time, it didn't mean...
It's like you're just giving yourself... Like, and then it's like, 3 years, 4 years, and then it's like, man, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. But it didn't mean... And that was the thing. That was the thing, though. It was hard to say that because it didn't mean that just because he was my next relationship that he had to be my husband. Right. It was just that I'm going to go into it with that intention of how I would, comport myself with this person, how I would, like I said, how I would check the things that I was, doing, how I would be, self-reflective, how I would be, like those kinds of things. Because if you're just dating the date, you may not be checking that. You may just, things might just be happening to you. You may just be having the, you know what I mean? Yeah. So when I was intentional about it, like if it didn't work out, I would have known that I went into it kind of being my best self and my wife-worthy self. You know what I mean?
That's a good word.
And that
wife-worthy.
Yeah, and that was something that because I used to think that I was in the past, but I know that I wasn't. So yeah, it was. I
had a question and I just forgot it. Cut this part out. Let me think for a second.
Where
we at?
Yeah, we had like
44 minutes.
All right. That's a super episode.
Okay, we about to. See, Sarah, no, she knows it.
Ain't nobody talking to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what it was. So do
Is it still
y'all
recording?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do y'all feel like would you recommend someone getting married in their 20s, or do you say that's too young? What do you think?
I got cousins that just got married. They're in their 20s. I mean, I feel like if you are mature enough to know that you want to be with somebody, you know, in that way, then go for it. Like, but just know that it's not a game. That it's not like, oh, we're getting married because it's cool. Like, you really gotta be down for somebody for the rest of your life, or for for the rest of your lives together.
Yeah.
Like, you're building a union, and it's not.
It's not for punks, and I ain't
It's not for punks. You know what I mean? Because people play with it, and it's like people die over it. You know, it gets.
The ID channel.
But that's what happens.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Okay.
Look, I mean, it doesn't have to be that extreme, but regardless, there'll be hurt feelings if you don't take care of it. You know, if you don't take it seriously.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical dying,
No,
but it's like your spirit gets depleted and your emotions.
Like just imagine being with like somebody that you don't want to be with, or you know, just getting married because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Like
or it's the right thing to do.
I don't condone getting married because you have kids together. You know, it's wild out here nowadays. You know, people have kids and, you know, maybe not in a relationship, may want to be in a relationship, but I don't believe if two people have kids and they're not good together, that they should just like force their way and be good together.
Because marriage is not going to make it better.
Right. It's not going to help.
Yeah. It from what I've heard, it only exacerbates the things that are issues already.
Right. And so for me, I completely concur with you on feeling mature enough, and I think you have to ask yourself if you like your partner.
Yeah,
not if you love them. Just
you like
on a Saturday, can y'all hang out together?
Yeah.
Do y'all talk, or are you both on your phone when you have time? Do y'all dream together? Can you dream with this person? Can you even envision them in your future? Like, when you think about your future, is this person, specifically this person, there? Like, you see them going with you to the hospital to have your kid, or you see them traveling with you. Like, you see this person with you for a very long time. And I watched a lot of my friends get married in their 20s. A lot of them are still together because they found someone that they really liked and they really got along with. And that really said it for me too. Like, I want to be with someone that I like and that I had fun with. Because I know that then we can face all the things that come. It's not always going to be good times, but in those bad times that do come, is this someone I like, or is this someone that I'm gonna be like, man, you know,
putting up with your partner.
Yeah, you just putting up with them and all that stuff. So that's
again.
Like that was huge for me, and so I think it just depends on your level of maturity, in the sense of like, are you willing to do the work? And are you willing to, if you're in your 20s, are you willing to build a life with this person that you can see well into your future? You know, when we started dating, and I mean, y'all know, like, when you start dating someone, you sometimes have an expiration date on this person. Maybe it's just me.
No, it's me too.
But, you know, I'm kind of like, this, you know, he's cool. This might last 3-4 months. This might last 6 months. This might last, you know, I could see dating him for like a year. I mean, I don't know. Because I already know some of the maybe like the Dealbreakers or the things, but he's fun and he's cute, you know, and we have a good time together. But maybe we don't have deep conversations. And by deep conversations, we don't ask each other questions. We don't ask each other questions about or share things like you were talking about, emotional intimacy and being yourself and being naked with someone and sharing like how did you grow up? How did that impact you now? What are your dreams? What are the things you want to accomplish? Not just, I want to have the best whip and make, 6 figures, but what are your dreams and how can we together, what are those things that we could see ourselves doing together? Like if you're not having those type conversations, then I don't know if your relationship is ready for that.
Right.
But I think that you can find that at a certain age. Like I said, I've seen a lot of friends who, have been married and are still married to this day, and they're like 15 years deep, and I'm like, damn, I'm at 3.
And I'm at 0.
And counting down. But yeah, it's just it has to be that person. And for me, I really like him. Like I love him as my husband, as my partner. I really like him. Like we have a good time together. He makes me laugh, and not just laugh like, oh, he tells funny jokes. Just laugh like only him, and he gets me.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that makes me feel like I can marry him because he gets me. That trip, he talked about going to Malta. I had talked about that or been like, yeah, he was the only guy who was like, where's that? Oh, let's go. And I was like, yeah, they always be like, let's go. No, he was like, looking it up. So what are we doing first? Like, we don't have the money to do it right now, but shit, let's plan that shit for next year. So let's plan where we're gonna stay next year, and then we could save up all the way. And I was like, he took me seriously. Yeah. He wants to go to this random ass island that nobody really even knows about, and that to me was like, this is my person, So
that's so sweet.
Yeah.
So, kind of to wrap up, like final thing. Is there any advice that you would give to someone who is currently single, who has a desire to be married, who feels like it's not happening and is trying to kind of like not lose hope?
I'll say don't lose hope, but I'll also say, think about where you are right now and celebrate the things that you are. Celebrate the things that you have, because marriage doesn't complete you.
Yeah.
You complete you. And I think that it's something that, we're set up to want and to have companionship. And I think that, I just, because I know how I felt. and like I said, how I came to an acceptance of, how that is, and how, nights you want a hug from a man, like manly arms, a man, and, and it's like, I feel you, sis, I got you. And it's like, you're going to be okay. And there's so much of you that fulfills you, and your person or the right person for you may not be here right now, but understand that each of us as individuals is going along our journey. So continue to be open, continue to love yourself, because the things that you need, the things that you're working through, they radiate out. And so when you're radiating out love and self-confidence and self-fulfillment, then who wouldn't want to come and be a part of that kind of space? It's a moth to a flame. So that's kind of how I feel like, it's not the end of the world. We could have been 40 and 45. There's people who are 50, and, by that point, yeah, there's other factors. But at the end of the day, I just think that, take care of you and protect your heart and protect your spirit. And don't let any lack of damage that, because there's so much abundance that you can be grateful for and that you can strive for and that you can attract to yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. But
it made a whole lot of sense.
Felt that.
I mean,
I felt that.
I feel like that's really the key to it. Like, if you are not taking care of yourself, nobody's gonna want to be like. Nobody wants to be around somebody that's negative, exuding negativity. You know what I'm saying? Like, people will literally be repelled away from you. And, like, as a guy, fellas, you know what I'm saying? Start knowing your worth. Like, know what you're worth.
That's
you know
a
what I
whole
mean?
conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But, yeah, fellas, ladies, like, you know your worth, then you're, like she said, you're taking care of yourself. Inside is going to come out. Somebody's going to see you enjoying being yourself. And that's where people meet. Like, even if, you know, you don't have this history of friendship, but people meet doing things that they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And you go somewhere that you enjoy by yourself just because you're like, you know what? I'm going to go. Because I want to go.
Yeah, I'm going to this museum.
And then
I'm going to that basketball game.
Right.
Somebody will be there, you know what I'm saying, when it's your time. But, you know, just don't be so thirsty for it.
Also, please, don't settle.
Yeah,
no settling.
Don't settle.
Yeah.
Settling is it leads to misery.
Settling is for suckers.
I'm not settling for anybody that's like,
oh my God, just, you know, don't settle. But thank you, Sierra. This has been amazing. It's been a super episode.
I
appreciate y'all. Thank you. This was a good conversation.
Yeah. Okay, I'm cutting none of it out.
Oh my God. Please cut out the part where
All right, guys. Ask us questions in the comment box. Subscribe to T&Mai's channel. Check out Sierra Narita. Look out for her Cake and Conversations and her upcoming rebranding of that podcast. She's got a lot of dope conversations that she has. Thank you for asking us the questions that you asked, and we will see you all next time. And thank you all again.
Yeah,
all
please.
Right. Bye.
And we're done. That was dope.
a super episode.
That was really dope.